That's a lot. That's a lot of dedication. To be like, I'm here.
To me, it's just you show up. I show up, I play the game. I show up, I practice. I show up, I go to law school. Yeah, it was really hard. The guy wants to get rid of me. You do one thing. I could have just shrunk up and just melted away.
Yeah.
Or just buckled up and go, I'm going to make this as hard. It's impossible for him to make a change.
All right, welcome back to the Cash Flow Corner podcast. Today, we have the legendary three-time Super Bowl champion, Bart Oates in the house. Bart, thanks for being on today.
Hey, Spencer, great to be here. Thank you for the invite.
Of course. So when I met Bart, 2 years ago? About 2 years ago.
A couple years ago.
We were just starting our podcast, and I was like, man, I know it'd be really, really cool to have you on here because the history of when you were in football, I think I was just about born in the 90s, right?
Yep.
Well,
80s and 90s.
80s and 90s. But you started your NFL career in the 90s, is that correct?
No, 80s.
In the 80s.
Yes.
Okay. So I wasn't even born or a thought yet, actually.
Exactly.
No. So I was like, you know what? I know what current people are doing in the NFL industry, and I know there's a completely different time zone and change and rules and regulations. And you've actually been a huge part in some of that rules and regulations nowadays between the NXFL, right? Is it the NX?
The USFL.
USFL.
Yep.
And then I want to talk about one in the beginning before we get into a couple questions and more of the background. The one that you are in now that talks about the injured players and everything that you're part of.
Okay.
Tell me a little bit about that, what that organization is, how you got involved, and where you're on it now.
So after I played, I was one of those guys that just I went right into, because I had my law degree. Yeah. So I was practicing law for the last 5 years I played, so I just transitioned right into law, and I started doing real estate. Did real estate law and brokering. But I always stayed involved with the former players groups, and so I worked with there's an organization called the NFL Alumni Association.
Yeah.
So I became the president and served in that position for 6 years until about 3 years ago.
Okay.
So we worked a lot with the former players. We do a lot of helping players create philanthropic endeavors.
Is that part of that concussion program too?
So that's a separate thing, and then then there's during that process back in 2014.
Okay.
Concussion lawsuit was, and then there was a settlement with that, and so there's a process in which players that can qualify to receive a monetary award. And so when I got out of the game, I really wanted to help players because I just saw where, particularly former guys, my colleagues, guys that were, I've watched, I've played with, worked with, and wanted to say, I just thought there was a really significant way to help former guys say, do you qualify? And because most guys, most players go through and they says, you know what, I don't feel well, but you suck it up and you move forward.
Yeah.
Others think that they're having issues because of the orthopedic issues, not knowing that they're actually neurological issues.
Is that the biggest thing you're finding these guys coming in for in that program? Is the neurological?
Yeah. So the concussion settlement is a recovery based upon neurological damage, whether it's it shows itself through the Alzheimer, which is a memory deficiency, and Parkinson's, which is a movement issue. So Parkinson's and orthopedic issues can sometimes become very close.
And that's their thing that's deriving from getting hit, just the beat up that you.
The Parkinson's is historically right. Players get it. Now, the thing with the settlement is you don't have to prove that it was caused by playing with NFL. All you have to do is show that you have the condition.
Okay.
And so we help players navigate that process.
Wow. Okay.
So I have partners that will help me. I went to law school with one of them, Vince Reppert, and his wife Lisa. Vince played at Syracuse, so he has a kind of an affinity towards players, understands what they're going through, and so it's just you have a good team, and
you get to use your law degree.
Well, not really, because there's already, and in some ways we do, thinking wise, but this in particular is just, here's your settlement, here's the steps you have to take to get an award.
And you have your knowledge of football and legal side, so together, it's like a perfect match to be in that side to help guys. And do you think you have more of the older class football time coming to you, or is it any of the newer guys coming day and age?
So it's guys that played prior to 2014.
Okay.
But that could be guys as young as in their 30s, right? Because most guys are out before they're even 30.
Okay.
So 11 years ago, that's, you could be 40 or younger, right?
That's crazy.
But
is that the youngest you've seen?
We've dealt with guys in their late 30s, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Some have, it becomes, it's different for everybody. And the condition and the symptoms that are exhibited change as well.
Wow.
So it's... we deal with a lot of the guys that I played with in my era in the 80s, in the 90s, and even before. We're kind of, I'm particularly love working with the guys, the older guys.
Yeah.
That really never saw any guys in the 70s made, they made 100,000. That was a lot.
That was for their season, or that could be like a 2 or 3 year contract?
Yeah, both.
Wow.
But so it was, so to get them a monetary award, particularly when some of them are, they're in just tough shape.
Yeah, they're hurting bad right now.
They're hurting a little physically
Yeah.
and mentally, emotionally, and so this helps them. And then through that process, we can then help continue treatment. There's treatment in place, particularly in Parkinson's, that guys actually improve.
Oh, wow.
They get better. Now, memory issues, you slow it down, but on the Alzheimer's, but the Parkinson's, you can show signs. You can improve and become more stable. You have less rigidity.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
And then that's all done in that suit, and they have the proper people and all that stuff. And
we help them
that.
navigate the process.
That's awesome. Well, I want to go into one thing that you mentioned about the lawyer thing, and I did some research, and you graduated summa magnum cum laude. Is that right, or is it?
I was
Magna cum laude, which is insane. And then you did that you got your law degree, and but you did that through football.
I did it while I was playing, yes.
Yeah.
So football's a little long off season, unlike the other sports. I mean, you don't make the playoffs. You're done in January, by the beginning of January, and you don't have to go to camp until almost August.
Right. Well, on your part, you weren't even part of draft, right? Like you ended up not getting drafted. Correct?
I was not drafted in the NFL. No.
Correct. Yeah.
I played prior in the USFL.
That's right. And in the USFL, you won. Was it 2 or 3 championships with them?
I won
With
2
Philly and
championships. So
Baltimore?
we were there 3 years in Philadelphia and Baltimore Stars.
Yep.
We went to the championship game every year. We lost the first year to Michigan, and then we won the next 2 years.
Okay, and then walk me through that. So you did that, and then you said, "Okay, I'm going for the NFL. I'm going to try out. I'm going to go do their camp." Is that how that works?
No. So what happened was my third year, I had a 3-year contract. My contract was ending, and I wanted to stay in the USFL. I loved it. I was making decent money at the time, and the league was progressing. But then they decided to switch models and move to the fall, and then the league folded, and you could see that all coming. They were late in the season, and then the Giants at the time, they had lost their center during the offseason. Their starting center had gotten hurt in an offseason accident, had to retire.
What year was that?
This was 85.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So the early 85, and he was actually lived in Detroit, was driving back to Detroit, got in a car wreck, and then wound up having to retire. So they became, and this was like late after the draft, and so they needed a center, and I was I was a free agent per se, coming out of the USFL, but there were a lot of guys coming out of the USFL at that time.
Yeah.
But I happened to be available. They needed somebody desperately. So right after, literally, we played the championship game that we played, the Oakland Invaders, for the last game in the USFL, that original USFL, was played in the Meadowlands. I actually met with the team doctors because I'd been negotiating my contract with my agent, and I met with the doctors at the stadium, right? During we were practicing, and had a physical and because I knew I was leaving there, and I was literally, so 2 weeks after that game, I signed a contract with the Giants and went to camp, summer camp, after a full season playing the USFL. And then I went and played the NFL season.
And when did you start college?
Well, I started college in the late 70s, 78.
For law.
Oh, for law school. So what I
You went
did
to
is,
Seton Hall, correct?
yeah. So I got my I graduated in accounting from BYU, and then I started law school in 85?
Oh, so as soon as you basically got on with the Giants, you
Yeah.
went with them, and then
I take that back. It was 84. I went one semester at BYU, which I was in the USFL. Since we were playing springtime, I was able to get my first semester in law school the first fall.
Okay.
And it's important in law school, you go fall semester and then your winter semester, they follow each other, meaning that those courses you take in the spring are the same courses except extenuated.
Okay.
Property, contracts, civil procedure, things that are, they're basic. They're the basic courses that have to be taken for first year classes. So I was able to, because of that switch, I came back after the NFL season, and I got the spring in and got that first year courses done. But I'd go one semester a year, and then I'd take some courses. I usually took a course during the season just to keep kind of in touch, and I'd go maybe one or two, course that maybe required me to go into class a couple nights a week. There was no virtual things in those
BYU,
days.
that's Boston, right? So you would have to go all the way up to Boston just to.
Well, BYU's in Utah.
Or Utah, my bad.
But then I went one semester there. Then I transferred over to Seton Hall Law School.
Seton Hall, okay.
Where I finished my last, most of my, graduated from Seton Hall.
Well, that worked out good that it was right here and everything.
Perfect, yeah.
So now you're in NFL. You were with the Giants for how long?
9 years.
9 years.
Mm-hmm.
And tell me, the 9 years. Tell me as much as you want. What back then was there a starting pay at that time? Now they have a starting pay for draft players.
Yeah, there's minimum salaries, but I came in, my first contract, it's all public information, but was a 4-year, $1.2 million contract.
Wow.
So, this is 1985. I'm a 27-year-old kid, newly married, had a little kid, and, I'm making $300,000 a year.
Not bad.
I couldn't get rich, but you make good money. I mean, you live pretty well.
Beat up, get beat up to make that money.
Well, listen, you get beat up for a couple of months a year, and then hopefully, I'm doing more of the beating than getting it. So
that's right.
That's the objective as a lineman.
Speaking of beating, I mean, was there ever a time when there was? I mean, there had to be when you are playing the game. And there's a consistent team where you're like, every time I know I play, there's this one guy that just, he pushes my buttons every time. And every year or every game, you just look forward to that game?
Look forward to it? Yeah, I look forward to every game. There's some games, more than others. I love playing the Redskins.
Okay.
Their scheme just fit the way I played. You had to be pretty cagey. They moved around. They did a lot of things. So I was a guy that always came in very prepared. Mm-hmm. I had to because I wasn't physically a dominant player. I didn't have the physical skills of a lot of the other guys. So I had to make it up by just putting myself in the right place at the right time, understanding what they're, being able to game plan and understand what they're going to do.
Okay.
So I studied a lot of film study, really would always, not always, but a lot of times catch clues that would give me reads. So I was always looking for reads. Could be guy put his foot back, and if he was coming inside, and he'd put it more up if he was going outside. I mean, you'd look for how much pressure is on that front on this down hand versus it'd tell you if he's going to go laterally, if he's going to come forward. So you're always looking for those reads, and then you're communicating while the quarterback is going through the cadence at blue 22, blue 22. That's the cadence. So you have about 3 seconds to communicate, look, observe what's going on, communicate any changes that need to take place at the time.
And you're sitting there going change to this, change to that.
I'm making calls. So I'm listening to the quarterback, making calls, doing reads, right, all within about 3 or 4 seconds. Yes.
Holy crap!
Guess what? I was wrong a lot too, but I was right a few times.
Can't be that wrong with that many Super Bowl wins, though.
Yeah,
there had to be something there. And I mean, who do you think was the toughest team to go against? Between
we
that and San
really
Francisco.
when I was with the Giants, the Eagles later, late 80s and 90s, they were a tough team for us.
Really?
They just matched our offensive scheme defensively. Now, our defense did pretty good against them, but our offense didn't match up well with their defense. We kind of played into their strengths.
Okay.
For instance, we would do running plays that we knew were like it would be good for certain teams and certain defenses, but against this defense, the way that Buddy Ryan ran his defense, it was just a disaster. So you had to be much more. You have to really think about here's their strengths, here's the weak spots, and we just didn't do a good job of creating a game plan. And it was more like so. For instance, Reggie White would. In passing situations, often he would come in right over the middle, right on my position, right head up. And so when we did that, because Coach really trusted my pass block. I wasn't a great run blocker, but I was a good pass blocker. And he said, well, you're good, so we'll just have you man up. And so they would get there, and then they would line up defensive tackles on the outside shoulder of the guards.
Okay.
It's called a B gap. Well, when we see that formation, the guards step out to take the tackles, and that leaves moi one-on-one with Reggie White, first ballot future Hall of Famer. And so no surprise that Reggie White sacked my quarterback, mostly Phil Simms, more times than any other quarterback in his NFL Hall of Fame career. So I told him at one of the Pro Bowls, I really deserve an honorable, you need to mention me because I deserve that you mention me because I'm not sure you would make it without me.
Yeah, letting you get through.
Well, I didn't let him.
That's what he's going to say, though. Yeah. He's like, Bart was nice enough to let me through on all those times.
Thank you very much.
But, did you ever get
So he was tough. Yeah, Reggie was a tough one. Some other guys. Jerry Ball was another one who played the Detroit Lions. He was about under 6 foot, over 300 bills. And Jerry Ball only moved if he wanted to move. So if he wanted to sit in that spot, and I didn't care how hard I pushed on him, he wasn't moving.
Oh wow!
He was another guy. So I had a lot of guys I look at and go, oh my God, Michael Carter, and there are a number of guys I look at and go.
Everyone was just built different back then too. Everyone's built different now too. But I just feel like there was a lot more punishment back then. Like everyone's a lot rougher and tougher, and just a lot of big dudes, and just
technique has changed. How guys do it, speed, strength, size. I mean, when I was playing, 300 was not an anomaly, but there weren't as many 300, 310, 320. There were no 320s.
Yeah,
I remember Parcells coming into one of our team meetings after. It must have been like a Saturday morning, so we weighed in on Friday. And there must have been some guys, defensive guys typically were the biggest offenders of that, but the defensive linemen, and they missed their weight. They have me. I'm just glad they never put a max on me, or a minimum, because I would have a hard time. My problem was always putting weight on, but a lot of these guys, just big people, they had to. Particularly late in the year when it gets colder and you're not burning as many calories, and these guys start to eat a little heavier, and they'd start putting a few. So we had a few guys losing that missed the weigh-in number, got heavy.
Yeah,
Parcells comes in, he's like livid, and he's like he just says, "Listen, guys, that just because to him that showed a lack of discipline. Yeah. Guys, not." Because he wanted guys focused. He wanted guys like don't relax. He wanted you to take things like because he knew as soon as you relax, you're not going to play as good. So he wanted guys to be on edge. So if you weren't on edge because of your discipline, he was going to get you on edge.
Okay.
Because that's the way he was. And he comes, he says, guys missing. I don't like that. That's laced with a few 4-letter words. and he goes, if there's going to be fat guys on this team, it's going to be me. I'm the only fat guy on this team. It was a famous fat guy speech.
That's great. It's fun to watch some of the other stuff. I spent some time last night looking at all different types of things like we talked about before, and watching your old stuff and how huge you were. You were a tall guy, muscular, big dude, and it's just it's just crazy to see like the difference of now. But it's also like there was just a built different. There was a look that was different, almost like a more intimidating look back then there is now. But now I mean the guys are fast. They do things. They have if you can't perform or get to the certain level, you're done because somebody else can come and just be as quick, as fast, but have better hands. Yeah. And
well, it's always been that way. It's always been ultra competitive.
Yeah.
And that's it. I mean, listen, Bill told me. So I came in. I wasn't he loved the Jumbo Elliots of the world, the guys that just were road graders, and I wasn't that guy. I was a good pass blocker, and I would move, good lateral movement and quick, but not his type of player. So he just said, listen, and he actually said it one day in practice, Oates, he says, I can't wait till I get rid of you, and so it was, but that was his way of saying, basically going, you're my guy, I have to have you. Let's see how good you can play. Can you step up to it?
And so what was the change or the switch up to go to San Francisco at that point then? You were with them for 9 years.
Played 9 years. I didn't want to go. I was already practicing law at a law firm in Morristown, and this is my home. I have 2 kids, and I just built a house. Was building a house in Harding Township, and where we still live today. Yeah. And going, listen, my happy life here is just playing out my last couple of years with the Giants. I was playing well. I'd gone to we'd won Super Bowls, a couple of Super Bowls. I'd been to the previous 4 years. I'd been to 3 Pro Bowls, and so I'm still playing well. Yeah. But they had a guy that Bill had drafted early, the first round, to replace me 5 years earlier. His contract was up, Brian Williams, and my contract was up, and they gave Brian the starting salary, which made sense. I'm like, I'm 34 years old, 35 years old. It's time for me to not in that age.
As a center.
And back then, you hit mid-30s. You hit 30s, and they're like, okay, start to replace him. Right. So now I'm in my mid-30s, and it's like, okay. And I knew it. I said, listen, because he knew I was practicing law. I'm off season. I'd already planned it, so I'm like, I'll be a backup. I'm happy to. And then the general manager wanted me to take a big pay cut. Didn't think I should, so I knew the only way for him to up the ante was to get a competitive offer. And so the 49ers were looking for somebody, and agents started talking to them, and I trying to balance that. Like, I'm talking to the 49ers. If you guys, can you change? And so, long story short, I wound up going out to San Francisco.
And you kept your house out here?
Yeah, because, it was just going for I said, I'm going to go for a year. Let me go for 1 year. And at that point, it's like, there was a pride thing to it. It's like, I can still play. Yeah. And, I can play at a high level.
And you played 1 season with them?
2.
2 seasons?
2. Won a Super Bowl, went to 2 Pro Bowls. So I played well.
Yeah, so that probably looked really bad on them. They're like, oh, wow, he just...
they had Brian. Brian was completely made the right decision. And I was actually at that time, after 9 years of playing, and then 3 years prior to that, so I'd played 12 years. I was like, plus I was a little bit older. I came out of college a little bit older because I spent 2 years on a religious sabbatical, so I was a little bit older. And then it was so I was kind of ready. I would have loved to have been a backup for a couple of years and be on scholarship, but.
Time was time.
I had to go to San Francisco. I had to win a Super Bowl. Be a
3-time Super Bowl champion.
Yeah,
you had to do that. And look, you played 11 years of football, right? NFL.
Well, and then 3 years in the USFL. Let me tell you, USFL was much harder than NFL.
Really?
I had Jim Moore as a head coach, and he kicked butt. We practiced hard every practice. Our camps were hard. He was a firm believer that he wanted practice harder than the game.
So the game looked a lot easier
because the game would be easy. Yes.
So I would say over a decade of playing professional football, what is one game you would play again? One game that you went out and played where you're just like, I would do that again. Most memorable game you had, you think?
Oh, that you would just
rewatch.
49ers, 1990 conference championship game.
Yeah, and what was so significant about that?
We were such huge underdogs. And then we went on, we won that game, went on and played the Buffalo Bills, and so we were huge underdogs in that game.
And won that one?
Yeah, so Phil Simms got hurt. We were playing with Jeff Hostetler, backup quarterback. Rodney Hampton got hurt, a starting running back, who had 1,000-yard rusher a couple seasons before. He got hurt. Otis Anderson comes in and becomes a starter. And so we've got, the oldest running back in the league. We've got a quarterback that's never played. And in the offense, have good defense, but you have to have offense too, and solid special teams. And so we wound up going that game. We kicked 5 field goals, win 15-13. It was just they fumbled the ball late in the game, or we would have never had a chance. But
look, a win's a
win.
win.
That game was a fun game. That was just so unexpected. We just did not expect to go in there and have that kind of result.
Do you miss it at all?
I have so great memories. I can't. No, I don't miss it. I far and away exceeded anything I ever thought I would achieve in football world.
Was that the career dream when you were younger?
The career dream was a kid growing up in Southwest Georgia, Albany, Georgia, going, hey, I think it'd be fun to play in the NFL, having no idea what that meant. And, I was just this chubby, non-athletic kid growing up in Georgia and had this dream, right?
Football's big out there.
Huge.
Yeah, it's like being
Friday
in Texas.
Friday night, we'd have 10,000 people at our game.
Wow.
From town.
Really?
Yeah.
So when did you? So the dream wasn't to be a football player. It was just like every kid's dream to be like, that would be cool to be that guy up there, do that. And then, so did you play in high school or middle school? So
played high school. I played Pop Warner.
College, obviously.
Because my brother, I had 2 brothers, both older. One's a year and a half older than me. One's 6 years old.
And one was an NFL player, correct?
Brad. So 6 years. So he got drafted 3rd round, St. Louis Cardinals, and he was like this stud. He was a 2-time captain of the college team, and he was. So I want to be like I'm like he's in high school and I'm in grade school. So I'm growing up watching him grow, and so he goes to college. I get in junior high school and high school, and he's in the NFL, and so I'm like, okay, this is I saw there's a path there. I'm like, it wasn't something that was just totally like I have no idea what this takes because I saw my brother make it. So there was a reality, I think, that like, okay, he could do it. Now he was he was stronger. And
what did he play?
He was a offensive tackle.
Okay.
Played left tackle.
And did he follow? I know your into the football world was a little bit different. I know you did a couple of religious things. I remember you went on a retreat. Was it a 2-year retreat?
So I went. I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ, Latter-day Saints, Mormons, and
you're actually the pastor at your church now, aren't you?
I was the bishop a couple of years ago. Right. So bishop is like the pastor of the congregation because we're a lay clergy. So got to do that. I was asked to do that. You accept. You do it. Of course. Do your time, and then somebody else comes in after. It's about a 5 or 6 year because it's a lot of effort. But so I went on a 2-year. They distill a lot of these kids, young men and women. There's probably, I don't know, I heard something like 80,000 of these kids that are out there around the world. My son Zach wound up going to Ukraine, Eastern Ukraine, for 2 years.
Wow.
I get sent to Nevada, Las Vegas, and Reno.
That's a interesting place to be sent to. I feel like a lot of people maybe need it out there.
It's a great life experience as a kid, particularly for me. I'm just this naive kid coming from Albany, Georgia. I mean, it's just a little bitty community. You're protected, and it's, and then you go out and, you're on your own. You have to make these decisions on your own. You have a companion, and so how do you get along with that guy? And there's so many different life lessons you learn in that 2 years.
And so you're doing that, and then you were in college, right, at that point? Or you didn't do college yet?
I had started college 1 semester, and then I took the 2 years off after 1 semester.
And were you playing football your first year, or no?
I was my freshman year, but I wasn't on the varsity. I was some 235-pound kid, offensive center coming from Albany, Georgia.
So you did that, and then you said, you know what, I want to go back into football. And
came back after 2 years.
Yeah.
Spring ball, I won the starting job, so was the starter for 3 years at BYU. Again, played well. It was good because we threw the ball. So that's how I learned how to pass block.
That's where you think you learned it from?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, you
out there. Yeah.
had a great coach, Roger French, that just taught the basics of pass blocking and just balance and hands, and so we didn't do run blocking. We just pass blocked. Nevertheless, it was great experience. So that's why I actually went to USFL, because I knew I was at the best. I was going to be like maybe a 10th round or 11th round draft pick in the NFL.
And was your brother playing still?
And my brother was now still. He played 7 years.
Okay,
So
so
now I'm
you're
coming
in,
through.
you're
I'm
in
coming
that.
out of, and his. So my first year, it was like. So he got into the Philadelphia Stars. Carl Peterson was general manager. Then went on and had a long career with the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah.
Anyway, Carl, he asked me reach out to my brother. My brother just finished playing an NFL season. Said they wanted to bring him on, and he didn't have a great career. He got moved around a bit, but good player. And so he signed a contract with the Philadelphia Stars. They reached out to me, said, would you be interested? And so, because my agent, realistically, I knew where I stood. I didn't have any illusions about my physical abilities. Like I'm going to be this stud in the NFL. I'm like, because my dream, I didn't expect to play much. I said, in the USFL, the owner, Miles Tannenbaum out of Philadelphia, said, I'll give you a 3-year guaranteed contract, personally guaranteed, for $330,000. So I'm making $110,000 a year in the 1983.
That's really good money.
And I'm like, that's good money, right?
Yeah.
But I was going to go to law school. I'd already started. I was finishing my.
And was law school a plan?
Yeah.
You always wanted.
Oh yeah, I was finishing my degree in accounting. Didn't really want to practice accounting, but it was going to go right into law school.
Why accounting though?
Because I was good at it.
Okay, I was gonna say 'cause that's tough.
Because I'm a nerd. I was. Listen, I went to every class. I never missed class.
Well, never missing anything. I saw a stat that you never missed a game through your NFL career.
Well, there's a couple I came in, but yeah.
Yeah, there is. There's always 172 games, and you started 165 of them.
So, yeah.
Was the stat?
Most of them.
Yeah, most of them.
I was dependent. Well, but again, I was a guy because I knew Parcells was always looking to replace me. So I'm like, all right, if I don't miss any practices and I don't miss any games, I never give him. I don't get another guy. Another guy doesn't even get in there. Literally for like a 5-year period, I played every offensive snap. I snapped the ball every time.
Well, 165 games while going to law school, right? Then getting out of law school and immediately working, raising a family. I mean, that's and not missing a single one, right? And that's going like, I'm at the game, ready to go. And that's a lot. That's a lot of dedication. To be like, I'm here.
To me, it's just you show up. I show up, I play the game. I show up, I practice. I show up, I go to law school.
So I guess that my biggest thing is I think what has changed a lot from nowadays till back then. It was this is a job. It's what I'm here to do. It's what I'm getting paid to do. So I'm going to be here, and not taking advantage of between fans, the money you're making, you're grateful for everything. Your dedicated religious background of being, grateful, being, the great stat of, I think your son told me you cursed once or twice on the field. And
maybe a few more.
Yeah. But out of all those years, I think now they have to close the mics up on the field because it's so bad. But it's just like, you're able to take everything as a whole in life and put a better light and perspective on things. And, I definitely feel like, that definitely rubs off on players around you.
You get me really nervous here. I mean, I'm very uncomfortable about all these accolades. I'm an offensive lineman. The only time we ever got any attention, right, is when you get to make a mistake. And then, John Madden would sit there and then you get a close-up of you and they'd say something. But that's the only time a lineman ever got any kind of notoriety.
There's some good photos out there of a ref yelling at you, and you're like this tall, and he's this tall, and you're yelling at him. And a question that I've always really wanted to know is what's it like on game day? Like what is going through your head? What is your morning routine? So if you tell me, it's like you wake up, it's game day, it's Sunday, right?
Right.
You're in Morristown or out in Harding. What is that morning routine like, and what is going through your head all the way up until game?
So you're not at home.
Oh, really?
You're at a hotel.
Really?
Yeah, we'd either stay at the Woodcliff Lake Hilton, or we'd stay at the Florham Park Hamilton.
Okay.
And
at home games?
Home games, yes.
And why would they do that?
Because they don't want you. They want you together. They want you focusing.
Okay.
You have meetings. You have a curfew.
You had a curfew.
There might be guys who would be tempted to maybe go to Atlantic City or something.
Yeah.
Who knows? Or to go. So it's like, okay, this is a way that help players make good choices.
Right.
Because think about it. I mean, most of us, we're all in our 20s. We're just young kids.
Yeah, making some good, making decent money.
Making way more than we ever saw as growing up, right? I mean, most of us came from families that were, either poor or, blue-collared families, et cetera. Very few came from affluent situations. So.
I mean, I've heard the NFL does pretty good on making sure that guys have if you're going to go out to drink or do something like that.
Really good now.
Here's a phone. Call us. Let's give you a ride.
This is the lift. You got a free ride. Be there. Just all you got to do is call.
Yeah.
There's a number. No matter where you're at, what you're doing, call and somebody will come get you.
And the fact that you still see some of these incidents on the news, you're like, how? How does this happen, guys? Like, how are we out drinking and driving? How are we doing this? Like,
Nobody gets smarter by drinking.
No.
So
yeah,
at least that's what I've been told.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you don't drink, which
But
I haven't been drinking for 3 weeks. I'll tell you what.
So you feel smarter?
I feel more efficient. I'll tell you what. I've done more deals in the last 30 days. Competent, and I've gotten the best sleep. I wear the Whoop band. We talked about golfing, and I've gotten the green score every single day. And I've never had that.
The green score is sleep?
Green score is like having basically you're in the 90s and above on proficiency of getting the right steps in.
Got it. Okay.
Sleep cycles. Don't wake up through the night. It's just amazing how you take that out of your life, how much your life turns around completely. Yeah. So, but I want to go back to that game day. So you guys are in the hotel.
Game day.
You're getting ready.
Right.
You have, I guess you eat together Saturday night.
So
Sunday
Saturday night you will meet in the evening, probably 8 o'clock. You check in. You check in whenever you want, but
you
have meetings around 9 o'clock, about an hour. Watch over watch practice from Friday, watch some game film, just kind of shore up some of because you typically every game is different, right? So how that defense is playing. So an offensive guy, I'm looking at, right? We look together as an offensive unit. Here's how we're going to attack it, and then we break out into our individual units: running backs, wide receivers, quarterbacks, offensive linemen. So a line will sit there, and then we go through hey, here's some adjustments we got to look for. Here's some tendencies. It's about really understanding your opponent.
Yeah.
And going, all right, here's what we need to do. And some guys take that a little more serious than others. I was always that, because I was the nerd. I loved studying. I loved that part of the game. It's just, what makes these guys? What do they do? Why do they do it? What are they going to do in these situations? So the anticipation.
It paid off. So
didn't hurt.
No.
And so we'd go through some of that for an hour. So that's about an hour. Have a little bite to eat, go up to your room, have curfew, and get a knock on your door at some point between 11:30ish or so, and you open the door. They actually have a key. You didn't have to get up. They had a key. They look in. You're there. Shut the door, and they go to the next door. Right?
Wow.
They have a floor, and it's they dedicated to where just the players. And then there's they have make sure that there's no. Today it's much more tight because there's just crazy people out there. It just seems like fans are in a good way. That people just very and it's like making sure that you don't have that kind of distraction. Try to minimize that. Get up in the morning. You have you can either do service. Then we have a chaplain will come in and provide some spiritual nourishment. Then we'll have a pregame meal, and I would always get to the game about the stadium about 4 hours before the game.
Oh wow!
Minimum, maybe 5 if I could. So if it's a 1 o'clock game, I'm at the stadium before 9 o'clock.
Wow!
And I wasn't the first one. There were those of us who would do that. There were a core group of probably half a dozen guys. Phil Sims, I remember, and there was Billy Ard, and a couple of us that would just come in early and then just go through a slow process. And you'd get taped. Your ankles would always get taped because I hated tight tape, so I'd get it taped early, and then I'd just walk around so it kind of fit.
Yeah. Okay.
Game uniforms are always tight because they would dry clean them. So I'd get those on early so I could get them stretched out because feel so it didn't.
You don't want to feel
bother
tight.
me. Yeah. And then there's other guys that would come in. Then I'd go out on the field 2 hours before the game, and then we always do warm up about an hour before the game. Start warm ups. Go out with kickers. I was a snapper for punts and field goals. I'd work with those guys a little bit. I'd go out 2 hours, and I'd just go kind of walk the field. I'd jog a little bit. I'd get a little sweat going. I'd go sprint 100 yards, get hard wind, and then get that first winded, and then throw the ball with one of the other guys, or maybe do some punting. Just
That's great.
Just to get some lather going. That was just me. Then you have about 30 minutes before each of these units, and you have all the team would come out about 35, 40 minutes before the game. We'd go through our process. We'd get that done, and we'd go back into the locker room about 20 minutes prior to the game. And that's final warm-ups, come out, introduce during the game, and play ball.
That's awesome. And so, I wanted to talk a couple financial things real quick. For a lot of these guys getting into the industry, or just people who are in industry, were there a lot of guys that struggled financially, you think, around your time and all that? Or was it, pretty mastered?
No. It was much easier to lose the money back then.
Really?
It's hard to lose. When you're making $10 million, it's harder to lose that kind of money.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can, but it's harder. If you're making $400,000, or maybe $1 million, it's easier. You can throw a few investments, and you can, that's not as hard to, and if you go out and you buy a car, you start to get some, expensive clothes. You want some nice jewelry.
Yeah.
I mean, your signing bonus is, it's not that hard to spend it.
And
So
was
if
that,
say that you get $300,000 or $400,000 in signing bonus.
yeah.
In those days, that was pretty good signing bonus.
But you're still paying the guy who helped you get the signing bonus, aren't you paying him?
You got your agent.
Yep.
It's usually 4 or 5%.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah, and so you have your agent, and you have your living expenses. So whether you're renting or you bought a place, and so it really is. You weren't going to get rich playing. It wasn't today. Today these guys, we're talking about generational.
Yeah.
You can look it up. Look, my nephew Garrett Bowles, he plays for the draft in first round Denver Broncos 8 years ago. I mean, he made more in his signing bonus, just his signing bonus, than I got in 14 years playing.
Wow.
And he's signed now 3 contracts, and he's, it's generational money. He'll make over $100 million before he finishes.
Holy crap.
So that's what these guys today can do. If you sign 3 contracts in the NFL today, you get rookie contract, a second and a third. You and maybe even your kids may never have to work again.
Did you have a lot of friends that you knew just like you felt bad, where it's like, wow, don't do it. Like obviously you didn't have the same problems because you're obviously either smarter about your money, or you knew, hey, you know what? I don't know when I can get hit hard one day and it can all stop. And
when you're young, you really don't think those terms. You think once you made it, you're like, okay, I can do this for a while.
Well, what made you think differently?
Because I never thought I was going to be a long-term player. I'd watch my brother. My brother, I knew that it was a very fickle business. I mean, he moved from, he got cut, and he wound up trying out for another team, and he moved around to 4 or 5 different teams.
Got it.
And I'm like, I don't want him. So that's why initially I'm like, okay, and he was better than me. So I was like, there's no way I'm going to be that. Here he's better than me, and he's hard for him to get to stick. That's why I went to the USFL. I got 3 years. I get that'll pay for my law school. I'm out of law school with no debt. That was my initial plan. Well, so I wound up playing longer. I had some wonderful success. I'm very blessed. Stayed healthy for the most part, and so, but it was,
watching him, you basically got to watch.
Yeah, so I just never anticipated I would play that long. Just never even occurred to me.
And look at that.
So it's just each year, because each year you got to make the team. And I knew I had a coach, Parcells, the first 7, that said, you know what, I'm trying to get rid of you. So it kept me on the edge, which made me a better player. It was hard. Yeah, it was really hard. I mean, you go home every day and you're like, guy doesn't like me. The guy wants to get rid of me. You do one thing. I could have just shrunk up and just melted away.
Yeah.
Or just buckled up and go, I'm going to make this as hard. impossible for him to make a change. I'm gonna make it as hard as I can for him to make a change, and that was the attitude I took.
And do you think, like, going into that, right? Like, he said a lot, and you said a lot of really important things right there. Was there a moment in your football career that taught you a lesson in life or either in business that, like, maybe you carry to this day?
Constantly. Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's just living through that those circumstances of having a coach that, and in a situation. By the way, it was open, but everybody's like that almost.
Right.
I mean, there's a few guys, they're superstars that it's not for, but for 90% of the guys, it's like that. You're like, you got to make the team, you got to perform, or you're not going to be there.
Like life.
Yeah, it's
You got to keep going.
it's even. I mean, it's in your face, right? In life, sometimes you can skate a little bit, but here it's like game by game. That game tells you that film is there. You're being filmed, and you're being graded on every single play.
Right.
Right. You get a Monday morning, you walk in, and I had Ron Earhart there, and we'd have this little clicker, back and forth. He'd push it down to go back, and then let it up and go forward. And I'd make a mistake, right? And more than once. Miss a block, and bam, he'd go back and forth. All you'd see me miss the block, back, 5 or 6 times. Didn't have to say a word. And, there he was. I was like, I'm thinking to myself, I got the point. I understand. I got the point. All right, next. But it was that accountability. And so life is about accountability. It's like, and not shirking from it. And having an attitude, that's what you control. You don't control, that's it. The only thing I can really control is my attitude. I can control what happens coming at me, right? I don't control that. But how I react to that, right? And I think that's where, if in one thing, because it wasn't my physical ability, it was just that attitude that I'm not going to let him, I'm going to make it as hard as I can.
Right.
And I'm going to fight, right? I'm not going to be pissed off and mope around. That doesn't help me.
Yeah.
So the only thing I can really control is how I feel about it and what I'm going to do, how I'm going to react.
So now I guess you have grandkids.
Yep.
And, you're saying that's, as my dad and my mom say, it's been a blessing. It's awesome. It's a different spot in your life being a grandparent. And, tell me how that feeling is.
It completes. It's like this circular where you kind of started as a young parent, and then you had kids and you raised them, and you had to go through all of everything it takes to raise a kid, from infant and to, toddler, and then grade school and junior high school, after high school, and everything that takes everything is out.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like all, money's out, effort's out, and it's like, and then grandkids, it's like, finally, something for me.
Yeah.
It's like,
and you're like, oh, I don't have to pay. You guys got this one? All right. At least I think.
So that's my happy spot, is when I get to hang out with my grandkids.
Do you go to Utah a lot to see your son?
I was there 2 weeks ago. I'm going this next week. My 8-year-old granddaughter's getting baptized, and so
that's awesome.
We were out there for 3 or 4 days, and it's awesome.
First of all, you can't beat Utah. It's just gorgeous.
It is gorgeous.
And does he ski or snowboard or anything out there?
Actually, his wife is really good.
Oh, really?
My son, he grew up here in Jersey, where you don't have.
Yeah.
You can
ski the east or the north.
Ski the ice.
Yeah, you ski the ice.
If you can ski in the east, the west is like,
It's a gift from God out there. When you get to there, like powder. Wow.
So I did that. I went out, and as a kid from Georgia, and I went skiing a few times when I was out there. It's like, it's actually pretty fun.
It is. It's different out there. You can't beat a place out there. Like, the winter's beautiful, the summer's beautiful, the parks, he's just.
Oh, so we went. I was out there 2 weeks ago. He has a camper. We went up on the backside of, it's called Mount Timpanogos, and it's just phenomenal. You just can't even describe it. The streams, and just they have the camping area, and we're just in the camper. We're cooking. These kebabs, and it's like, oh my gosh.
That sounds amazing.
Yes, 4 kids, and we were just having a great time.
You sit there, and then it's that when you wake up in the morning, it's quiet, you grab that cup of coffee, you just sit outside for a sec, you let that all sink in for a sec, you're like, this is free, right? I get to look at this for free, right? And people take this for granted.
Yeah, and it's not cold, it's crisp. It got crisp in the evening, so you just.
Well, I hear you sleep at like 60s, low 60s.
In the wintertime I sleep cold. In the summer times I like it. I just like the air. I'm not a big AC guy, so I typically run at almost high 70s.
What?
With fan? Yeah, I love the ambient.
In the summer?
Yes, I love that. Yeah, I grew up in Georgia, dude. So if I just
Oh
get
my
air
gosh.
moving, I don't like the cold. So I get a
like the
sheet
breeze.
and and it's just a fan. So you have air moving. So that ambient temperature just is.
There's your viral clip right there, man.
That's-
Yeah, I'm just like-
75 degrees.
Yeah, you hear about these football guys, like it has to be like 63 in their room, and they keep it like that
Not in
once
the summer. I hate that. I can't stand it.
What do you sleep in the winter?
I'm in the 60s. Oh wow. Yeah, but I'm covered, right? So
See, I always like that. Like if I'm at like 67 is a good temp for me. You get in the big fluffy sheet, and then like I feel like you get
in the
that good
wintertime, I love get an electric blanket and pull the covers
electric
over.
blanket.
Heck yeah! In the winter.
Yeah.
Electric blanket.
Electric blanket with low AC. I don't, that.
No, in the wintertime. So I'm in the wintertime.
Oh, you got no, but you said in the winter you throw the AC on.
No, I didn't. I said you don't need to. Don't flip the. That's the
Pop the window.
summertime. I'll set the temperature, my AC, to about 78. Okay. In
What?
the wintertime, I'm down around 65. So I like it cold in the winter and sleep, because in the summertime I find it's just not healthy to me, having this really cold environment and then going out into a warm.
That's a fair point. That's
Plus,
a fair point.
I don't think it's healthy, and then I think it's harder to adjust when you're hot. So if I'm sleeping, I'm not in this cold, like frigid environment. I much prefer it. I sleep better that way.
All right.
To each our own. Okay.
That's it. I'm always interested in it. I'll do one last question since we had to do something real quick. I remember almost a year soon, before I was getting married, I asked you if you had marriage advice for me. And I remember you told me something that stuck with me, and somebody asked me something like, oh, what's it like to be married? And I was like, exactly the same. I said, because I don't have kids. But it's going to be exactly the same, because you told me one thing, and I remember I went home, I told my wife, and you said, hey, there's nights where I'm laying in the bed, and my wife's got the little light on, she's reading a book, or one of the kids call, and she answers the phone, and I'm tired, I want to go to bed. And you sit there and you said, but you know what? I'm just going to go to bed, and does it bug me that much? I'm going to wake up in the morning and continue my day. Like, is it that big of a problem that, one, she's speaking to her kids, or she's reading her book with the little light on, and I'll just put my headphones on, I'll do my thing, and I'll go to bed. And it's just like, in life, you have to pick, is it really worth to start an argument over a light, or speaking to our kids, when there's people out there who don't speak to their kids, or who don't read, or who just, and he's like, but I have the pleasure of sitting next to my wife, and I have the pleasure of like waking up every day and having my family here and all that stuff. And I remember sitting, and we were at a charity event together, and like you hit me hard right at a charity event with all that. And I was like, went home, I told my fiance at the time, I was like, I just asked Bart a simple question of like, you have any marriage advice? And he told me this like awesome story. And I remember it every day when I'm like, man, maybe my wife left something on the counter, and instead of going like, hey, could you please just clean this up next time? I go, so you scoop it, you throw it in the trash, because I know I leave stuff around, and she just doesn't say anything.
Right.
Just like
It goes both ways.
Yeah, every week I'm like, wow, my clothes are put back. And I'm like, I don't know who does it. There's like a little fairy in the house who washes the laundry, puts everything away.
It's amazing. You got to try this.
And I'm like, if I go over there and be like, hey, next time, could you not mix I can't say that. If the sweatshirt got really small, I think I'm just going to buy another sweatshirt and not tell her it got really small and just move on from there.
Principle or preference is the way. There's things that are a principle, right? That either it's principle or there's preference.
Yeah.
Meaning that, I'd prefer to have it this way. This makes me. And so if it's a principle, you never compromise, because that's a foundational, right? How you live your life, honesty, right? Integrity. Preference is, do I like it cold? Do I like it warm? I mean, there's most of the things in life are preferences.
Yeah.
And so you compromise. You don't make that an issue on the preferences. And if you can do that, I think, like you're saying, that's exactly what you're saying, is that life is much easier. Your marriage is much easier.
Keep everything simple.
Your relationships, whatever that relationship is, it's just easier.
I like that.
You're not creating these undue pressures that don't need to be there.
No. And you've been married for?
Over 42 years.
Wow. Well, that's something to look forward to. Aspire. So
Well, thank you.
Well, thanks, Bart. Thanks for coming
You're welcome.
on. And to everyone, that's Bart Oates, and we'll see you next time. Boom.